I've been driving trucks most of my life, and I've seen just about everything the road can throw at a man. Long empty nights, sudden storms, accidents that make your stomach twist. But nothing ever stayed with me like what I saw on Highway 50 a few years back. I still don't talk about it much, because most folks would just laugh and call me tired or crazy. But I wasn't half asleep that night. I know what I saw. It was after 2 in the morning, and I was running through Nevada, hauling an almost empty trailer. Out there, the road feels endless, just a straight black ribbon through desert and nothing else. The radio had gone quiet miles back. No chatter, no music, just static. I rolled the windows up, kept my hands steady on the wheel, and pushed through the kind of silence that makes you feel like you're the only person left in the world. I caught movement ahead in my headlights. A man was standing on the shoulder, just outside the white line. He was wearing a dirty jacket and jeans, his thumb sticking out like he wanted a ride. At first, I thought about stopping. It was cold, and no one should be out there alone in the middle of the desert at night. But then I saw his face, and my foot froze. He was smiling, not like a normal smile. His mouth was stretched too wide, his teeth showing all the way back, like his skin didn't quite fit him. His eyes locked on me, unblinking, like he had been waiting for me to come down that road. Every hair on my arm stood straight up. I eased off the gas for a second, then shook my head and pressed down harder. I wasn't about to pull over. As I passed him, his head turned to follow me, slow and smooth, still wearing that awful grin. A few miles later, I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. My chest felt tight, my hands slick on the wheel. I told myself it was just some guy messing around, maybe drunk, maybe high. The desert has plenty of strange types. But about 5 miles down the road, my lights picked up another figure on the shoulder. My stomach dropped. It was him. The same jacket, the same jeans, the same grin stretched too wide. There was no way. No cars had passed me, no dirt trail, nothing but black desert all around. But there he was, standing like he had been planted in the ground ahead of me, waiting. I gripped the wheel and sped up, the engine growling louder. My eyes flicked to the mirrors over and over, expecting to see him chasing me down the asphalt. Of course, the highway stayed empty, but the next 10 miles, it happened again and again. Every few miles, there he was, standing by the road, always ahead of me, always smiling. I tried to tell myself I was tired, that my brain was playing tricks. I slapped my cheek, rolled down the window, let the freezing air hit my face. Didn't matter. He was still there. After nearly 50 miles of this, I finally saw lights up ahead, a truck stop. The relief that washed through me nearly made me laugh. I pulled in fast, parked under the glow of the floodlights, and climbed down on shaky legs. There were other rigs there, some cars, people moving around. Normal life again, safe. I walked around the truck, trying to steady my breathing, telling myself I'd just been seeing things. Maybe one guy, and my brain kept replaying him in the dark. That had to be it. But when I reached the back of my trailer, my blood turned cold. Written in the dust near the doors, in long finger streaks, were the words, "Thanks for the ride." I froze there, staring at it, my throat so dry I couldn't swallow. Nobody had been back there. I hadn't stopped once since Cheyenne earlier that night. My hands shook as I wiped the words away with my sleeve, like erasing them would make it less real. I went inside the truck stop, ordered a coffee, and sat with my back to the wall. Every person who walked in, every stranger who glanced my way, I looked at their smile. I couldn't help it. I was waiting to see him again. I never drove that stretch of Highway 50 after dark again. And even now, years later, when I see someone standing by the road at night, thumb out, I keep going. I don't care if they look lost, cold, or desperate. The road can be cruel, but it's not half as cruel as what I saw smiling at me in the desert that night. I've driven long haul for years, and the road has shown me plenty of strange things. Lights in the sky, shadows crossing lanes when nothing's there, even people walking highways at 3 in the morning miles from the nearest town. But nothing compares to what happened one night in Wyoming, out on a stretch of I-25, when the fog rolled in, and I learned that some parts of the highway don't belong to us at all. It was late, past midnight, when I pulled onto that stretch. My trailer was heavy, loaded with steel beams headed south. The weight made the truck groan on every incline. My eyes were tired but sharp. Coffee had my nerves buzzing. I hadn't seen another vehicle in over 30 minutes. Just me, the endless 2-lane, and the hum of tires against cracked asphalt. Then, the fog came. It started light, little wisps drifting across the road. But within a mile, the whole highway was drowned in it. My high beams only cut about 30 feet ahead before the grey swallowed them. Everything else, mountains, signs, even the stars overhead, vanished. The cab felt smaller, like the fog was pressing against the glass, trying to get in. I slowed down to 40, hands tight on the wheel, eyes darting side to side. I hated that silence too. Out there, you expect at least wind, maybe the sound of night birds, but it was dead. No sound but my engine. Up ahead, I saw blinking hazard lights. Relief hit me first. I wasn't alone out here. Someone else. Maybe they needed help. I rolled closer, careful, until the shape of a pickup appeared through the fog. Its nose was buried in the guardrail, hood bent up, windshield cracked. The hazards pulsed red against the mist, throwing strange shadows on the highway. The driver's door was wide open. I slowed to a crawl, leaned out my window. "Hey, you all right?" No answer. I pulled over a few yards ahead, set my brakes, and grabbed my flashlight. My gut told me not to, but my conscience told me I couldn't just leave. Someone out here. The pickup was a mess up close. Steam hissed from under the hood. An old rosary swung from the mirror, clicking against the glass in the breeze. But the cab was empty. No blood, no bags, no driver. That's when I noticed the footprints. They were bare feet. Small, too small for a grown man. They started at the open door of the pickup and led away down the asphalt, vanishing into the fog. My light followed them. Each print was wet, as if the ground itself was sweating under them. "Hello?" I called again. My voice sounded too loud, too wrong in the silence. Nothing answered. I should have turned back right then, climbed into my rig, and left. But I took a few steps, following the prints. They drew me in, step after step, until I realized I'd gone, almost 100 feet from my truck. Then the prints stopped, just ended. No turn back, no fading out. They simply vanished in the middle of the road. The fog thickened around me, curling across my boots. That's when I heard it, breathing. It wasn't mine. This was slower, deeper, like someone standing just beyond the edge of my flashlight beam, sucking in the damp air. My chest locked up. I whipped the light around, but it only showed grey walls of fog. I backed up fast, steps quick, until my shoulder smacked into my rig's door. I climbed in, slammed it shut, and locked it. My own. Breathing filled the cab, sharp and panicked. I sat there for a long minute, headlights cutting tunnels into the mist. Finally, I shoved the truck into gear and pulled out. I told myself I'd report the wreck when I hit the next town. Just drive, don't stop. But a mile down the road, I checked my mirror and nearly lost the wheel. There was a figure standing dead center in the lane behind me, pale, thin, motionless, just standing there, watching as my taillights faded. My heart hammered so hard it shook my arms. I pressed the pedal harder, wanting nothing but distance between me and that thing. For 10 miles, I didn't breathe, didn't blink. When the fog finally thinned, I started to believe I was safe. I whispered to myself, just tired, just tired. But then I heard something from the back of my cab, a soft tap, tap, tap. I froze. The sound came again, like bare fingers drumming on the sleeper wall. I didn't stop until daylight. At the next way station, I staggered out of the truck, pale and shaking, and told the trooper about the wrecked pickup back in the fog. He frowned and said, "That accident? Son, that was cleaned up years ago. Whole family died in it." I didn't argue. I just nodded, climbed back into my rig, and drove on. To this day, whenever the fog rolls across the highway and the world turns grey, I feel my skin crawl. Sometimes, if it's real thick, I swear I hear faint tapping from the sleeper, like someone's still back there, waiting for me to stop. I was running a night load through Texas last summer, cutting down Highway 287. The road was empty except for me, just endless blacktops stretching into nowhere. The radio had gone quiet hours ago, and I'd killed it to save my nerves. It was just the drone of the engine, the steady flicker of the dash, and the rattling of chains on the trailer. It was after 1 in the morning when I saw the first set of lights behind me, 2 little dots in the dark, way back. They came fast, closing in until I figured it was a car doing at least 90. I waited for it to pass, but it didn't. The lights hung behind me, steady, maybe 200 yards back. Not gaining, not falling, just following. I kept glancing in the mirror. They were still there after 10 minutes. 20. My stomach started knotting. Out here, People play games on truckers. Some try to spook you. Some look for trouble. I thought about grabbing the CB, but I didn't want to sound jumpy. I pressed the pedal, brought the rig up over 70. The lights matched me, still hanging back. Never closer, never farther. Another 20 minutes and I was sweating, my throat dry, hands slick on the wheel. I flashed my marker lights, the signal for go around. Nothing, just those twin orbs burning in my mirror. Then, as I crested a hill, they were gone, just like that. 1 second there, the next swallowed in the dark. Relief hit me so hard I almost laughed, but it didn't last. 5 miles later, I glanced in the mirror again. My heart nearly stopped. The lights were back, but closer now, maybe 100 yards. Bright, too bright. They filled my cab with white glow. I tried to steady myself, told my brain it was just some jerk messing with me. But then I realized something that made my blood run cold. There was no shadow. Every car throws shadows across the pavement when their headlights hit your rig. But in my mirrors, I saw nothing. No outline of my trailer stretching across the asphalt. Just light. White, endless light. But no shadow where there should have been one. My breathing went ragged. I tapped my brakes hard enough to flash them. "Pass me already," I muttered. The lights didn't move. Finally, I'd had enough. I pulled onto the shoulder, hazard lights clicking, gravel crunching under the tires. I figured if this joker wanted to play games, I'd let him pass and get gone. But when I stopped and looked in the mirror, the road was empty. No lights, no car, just black highway stretching silent behind me. I sat there shaking, staring into that nothing. I told myself I was overtired, seeing things. I pulled back onto the road and pushed on, desperate for the next town. That's when I noticed the glow. Not behind me now, inside the cab, a faint white shimmer spreading across the sleeper curtain. I gripped the wheel so tight my knuckles ached. Then came the whisper, right by my ear, low and ragged, like someone leaning close from the passenger seat. "Keep driving." My whole body went ice cold. I didn't look. I couldn't. I just pressed the pedal down and barreled through the night like the devil himself was in the cab with me. I didn't stop until dawn, when the first gas station lights came into view. I pulled in, shaking, climbed out, and staggered toward the diner inside. When I finally looked back at my truck in the morning sun, I froze. The back doors of my trailer were covered in handprints, dozens of them, small, pale, pressed deep into the dust. I've been driving trucks for nearly 20 years. The road has taken more from me than it's ever given, but it's the only life I know. You learn to accept the loneliness, the ache in your back, the constant distance between you and the people you love. But there's one night that never leaves me. Not when I close my eyes, not when I try to drink it away, not when I keep the radio loud enough to drown out my thoughts. It was winter in Colorado 2 years ago. Snow was falling heavy, and I was running late on a load of groceries. The company didn't care about the storm. They never do. "Drive careful, but get it there," they said. So I was crawling up a mountain grade at 20 miles an hour, chains clinking on my tires, fog and snow swallowing the world. My wipers fought against ice that just kept freezing over again. The CB was dead. No other trucks in sight, just me, and the storm, and silence. That silence is what I remember most. The world goes quiet when it's buried in snow, but that night it felt too quiet. No hum from the wind, no creak from the trees, just my own engine, heavy in my chest, and the sound of chains chewing ice. Then my headlights caught something ahead. A car off the road, nose first into the ditch. Its hazard lights blinked weak, barely alive, the red glow flashing against the snow like a dying heartbeat. I slowed down, heart thumping. You can't leave someone stranded in weather like this, not if you've ever been stuck yourself. I pulled up, set the brake, threw on my vest, and climbed down into the storm. The snow hit my face like 1,000 cold nails. The car's driver door was open. I shouted, "Hello! You all right?" Nothing. I shined my flashlight inside. Empty. No driver, no passenger. The windshield cracked, the dashboard crushed in. But what made me shiver wasn't the wreck. It was the trail in the snow. Small footprints, bare feet, leading away from the car and up toward the tree line. I stared at them too long, my breath fogging out into the storm. No shoes, no jacket. Whoever left those prints should have frozen to death in minutes. I should have gone back to my truck. I should have called it in and left. But something pulled at me. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was something else. I followed the prints. The snow swallowed my boots to the ankle, the cold cutting through my vest. The beam of my flashlight shook as I walked, heart hammering in my ears. The prints went on longer than they should have, far longer than a barefoot person could walk in that storm. But they never faltered, never dragged, just step after step, perfectly placed, leading deeper into the trees. And then they stopped, just ended, in the middle of an open patch between pines. My light scanned everywhere. No body, no trail, no sign of someone crawling or collapsing. The snow around me was smooth, untouched, but I felt something, like eyes, watching me from the dark. The silence broke. A sound came from the trees, a soft sobbing, a child, high-pitched, broken, weak. "Hello?" I shouted, my voice shaking. "Where are you?" The crying stopped, and in the pause, I heard another sound, breathing, slow, deep, heavy, too close, too close. My legs moved before my brain did. I turned and ran back through the snow, flashlight jerking, chest burning. The storm swallowed the sound of everything but my boots slamming ice. I didn't look back, not once. I slammed my cab door, locked it, and sat there, heart thundering, staring into the snow that pressed against the windshield. That's when I saw it. Not in the trees, not in the ditch, in my mirror. Something was standing by my trailer doors. A shape, human, but wrong. Tall, too tall, its shoulders hunched forward, its arms long. It stood still as the snow whipped around it, and then it smiled. I didn't see teeth. I didn't need to. I just knew. My whole body screamed at me to get moving. I slammed the truck into gear and barreled down that grade like a madman. Chains rattling, tires slipping, engine howling. I didn't stop until I hit a way station near the state line. The sun was bleeding into the horizon by then. Other trucks were lined up, their engines humming, the world alive again. I stumbled out, shaking, gulping down air like I'd been drowning all night. When I finally looked at the back of my trailer, I froze. There were handprints, dozens of them, small, pale handprints pressed into the frost that covered the doors. Too small for a man, too many for a child. I wiped them away with my glove, but they came back that night in my dreams. They still do. And now, every time I drive through the mountains in the snow, I see those bare footprints in my headlights, leading off into the trees, and I hear that sound, the sobbing of a child that isn't really there, followed by the breathing of something that is.